At only 18 years old, this player won his first major and even got an MVP medal, becoming the youngest player in each of these categories, while playing for the highest-ranked team in his country. Everything was going perfectly until he made one very wrong decision that completely turned his career around. And it wasn't in his favor. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe because you're watching CYBERSHOKE, and today we'll figure out what went wrong in Kjaerbye's career and how he made possibly the worst choice in CS esports history. The Dane began to shine on the local CS scene at a young age. He quickly earned a reputation as an excellent player who gets a lot of kills, and local Danish teams started to invite him to various LAN tournaments. That's how he started his career. Initially, he was playing for casual HLTV mixes, then joined a more serious team, Copenhagen Wolves, from which he was invited to Dignitas, where the Dane spent over a year and a half. This all happened in 2015. Together with Dignitas, Kjaerbye went from Tier 2 to a stable top 10 in the world, and he was proud to be on such a high level at such a young age. By 2016, he had completely proven himself, and his KD reached a decent 1.17. Then, he received a fateful offer from Astralis. At the time, the Danes weren't the strongest team in the world, but they were an ordinary Tier 1 squad that, on paper, was just a little stronger than Dignitas, so Marcus accepted the offer and didn't regret it even a tiny bit. Astralis, as their slogan, "To the Stars," says, was developing at a ludicrous speed. Kjaerbye was a questionable offer, and it was clear that Device would do the job a lot better, so he was benched in favor of Kjaerbye. The Dane finished 2016 as one of the top 20 players of the year at just 18 years old. The website's editors highlighted his stability. He was in the top 15 in terms of average damage per round, number of impactful rounds, and the percentage of maps with a positive rating. Long story short, the stakes on Kjaerbye were high. At just 18, he became the best player on Astralis, who reached first place in HLTV rankings and held on to it for almost half a year. The peak of Kjaerbye's career was first place on E-League Major in January 2017. In the final match, Astralis pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in the history of Counter-Strike, and Marcus was the star of the show. Astralis came back from a 7-13 deficit, and we want you to take a look at their stats from that match. Marcus was the only Astralis player who finished that map of Train with a positive KD. Kjaerbye became the youngest ever CSGO Major MVP. So, overall, things were going good. Astralis spent most of 2017 ranked second in the world, and their worst result of the year was number 5 in the rankings. Kjaerbye was starting to be considered as the most promising Danish player. But then, unexpectedly, at the start of 2018, he left Astralis and joined their biggest rival. But why? Well, there were two main reasons for that. Firstly, Astralis had lost some of their form, and Marcus had huge ambitions. As just a teenager, he quickly became a superstar and gained worldwide recognition, so it was hard for him to accept that in just 8 months, his team dropped from number 1 all the way down to number 5 in the world. Secondly, the team he was joining looked very promising. North was a project of the Copenhagen football team. The management promised that the players would have the best conditions in the market, and it was interesting to watch them develop. For instance, the boot camp was set up right at the stadium that belonged to the football club. And the guys also just had tons of experience in management due to their background in big sports. And they introduced many interesting features, such as a sports psychologist and proper nutrition. Here's how Kjaerbye described the transfer. "It was the hardest decision of my career, but I'm leaving Astralis. I understand that this can surprise a lot of people, but sometimes you just need to have the courage to take a step back in order to achieve more in the future. But the community started to call our hero a snake and even a traitor. How did he earn such a reputation? Since when is it considered a crime to simply switch teams?" Well, the problem wasn't that he switched teams, but how he did it. The young player was too scared to share the bad news with his teammates and avoided mentioning it until the very last moment. He went on vacation, became less talkative with them, and completely ignored some of them. The team was, of course, beginning to worry about their young prodigy. Zonic, the team's coach, believed that Marcus was in a darkened mood and needed support. But the truth turned out to be much sadder. He had already signed a contract with North, but was just too scared to admit it to his teammates. And this story doesn't have a happy ending. North didn't achieve any success. Yes, they had some close games against solid teams, and at one point they were even ranked 4th in the world, but overall they didn't look too good. He tried to comfort himself by repeatedly saying that everything in life doesn't necessarily go to plan and that he would keep on working hard to achieve his goals. But as time went on, his team continued to slide down the world rankings, while Astralis, on the other hand, celebrated becoming the best team in the world. In an interview, Glaive said that he was grateful for Kjaerbye deciding to leave because he was replaced by Magisk, with whom the team won 3 majors in a row. Not long before his departure from North, Marcus summarized the last few years of his career. "I think I never managed to reveal my real talent. I didn't make enough progress between the ages of 18 and 21. I've learned too little from my own mistakes, and now I want to fix that." Later, he admitted that he wasn't happy for a single day in his new team, and the hate from the community pressured him so much he wasn't sure if he'd be able to handle it. So in May 2020, he left North, saying he was feeling severe abdominal pain, breathing problems, and chest cramps. After returning to CS, Marcus tried to revive his career several times, but with each attempt, it only looked darker and darker for him. The reputation of a traitor haunted Marcus for a long time, and thoughts of unrealized potential held back his development. He's currently benched on GGHow, an Asian organization ranked 242nd in the world, and he finished his last S-tier tournament, the Esports World Cup, in last place with a rating of 0.61, marking the second worst performance in his whole career. So Kjaerbye might be the most controversial player in the scene. There's no denying that his current shape isn't looking good, but he truly left behind a legacy. After all, he's still the youngest major winner and MVP in the history of CS. In this short video, we've broken down his entire journey. But there's one question that only you guys can answer. Do you forgive Marcus? And with that said, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the best esports content. See ya!